Hello, pre-calc classes. I just want to say hello to you guys and let you know that today is this is going to be the review for the quiz tomorrow, and I'm going to work out the quiz questions right here in front of you, and hopefully you get a chance to view these to check yourself tonight after you try the problems. So the first type of problem, there are three types, or three of the same type. Basically, we want you to convert to decimal degrees, so just remember on your calculators. I'll do this one, and the answers are also provided at the end of the review that you had the link for. The answers are all on that the second page of that review that you print out, in case you haven't noticed that. So what I'm going to do for the first one is I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to put in, like we did in class, 30 degrees. So I want to make sure I go to find my angle button on the calculator that I have. You guys all have different calculators, so you'll have a different place for that. I'll put in 1 minute, and I'll go back to the angle button again, and 57 seconds. And then when I hit return, it gives me the decimal degree format, 30.0325. Now we do the same thing for these two. Now remember that in this last one it says just 30 minutes 39 seconds. So what you have to make sure you give the calculator is you put in 0 degrees, 30 minutes, and 39 seconds. And when you hit return, it will tell you that you have 0.5108 degrees. On the next one, you just put the number in and you hit the arrow DMS button, and that will convert it back to degree minute seconds. And it will convert it to 77 degrees, 36 minutes, 36 seconds. Okay, moving right along. One of the harder parts of the lessons was how to evaluate trig functions, but the first one is pretty easy because you just have to use the cosine function. .5843 would be our first ratio, but for the second ratio, I first have to consider what the sine of 85 degrees, 5 minutes, 51 seconds is, and then I'll take the reciprocal of that. Just add a little, I have to put the sign here, and I have to make sure at the end I put the second symbol. And then when I hit return, I get the sine is equal to 0.9963. And then for the cosecant of that same angle, I just take the reciprocal of this number. And that would be what that's equal to, which is 1.0037. The last one, cotangent of 18.7 degrees. First you would take the tangent of 18.7 degrees, because that's what you have the calculator able to do. You get that ratio, and then once you get that ratio, you would take the reciprocal. And it's going to be 0.3384. So then the cotangent is going to be the reciprocal of that. Which equals, I'll just use a 1 over x button, 2.954. Now in working with the next few problems, I'm just going to erase what I had over here. To find if the cosine ratio of theta is equal to 0.5125, then you just have to do, you can just directly go to use inverse cosine of 0.5125, and that will tell you what the angle is. And that says that the angle is 59.2 degrees. For the next one, it says that cosecant is equal to 3.787. So if cosecant of theta is equal to 3.787, then you need to turn this into a sine ratio, because that's what's related by reciprocal. And then you say the sine of theta is equal to 1 over 3.787. So I'm just going to take 3.787. I'll reciprocate the number. I'll get 0.2641. So now I know my sine ratio is equal to that. And I would just have to go one more step and do the inverse sine of 0.2641. So with my calculator again, the inverse sine of 0.2641. I'm rounding to 4 decimal places, and my angle is 15.3 degrees. The same approach is taken with cotangent. First, take the reciprocal, so you find the tangent, and that would be the tangent of theta equals 1 over 0.5145. So this is 1.944, and then you can figure out that theta is equal to the inverse tangent of 1.944. And you would get an angle of 62.8 degrees. I'm going to pause for a minute so I can clean up the screen and show the rest of the work in a second. Now on the next problem, number 12, it asks us to find, the test or quiz asks us to find what the sine and cosine is for this triangle of angle A. Now notice angle A is up here, this is angle A, so the sine ratio, remember, is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So the sine of angle A you should write is 32 over 40. Now you should reduce that fraction and you would get that to be 4 over 8, or not 4 over 8, I'm sorry. If I take 8 out of both, I'm going to get 4 over 5. And the cosine ratio of A is going to be the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Again, cosine of A equals 24 over 40. And you should reduce that ratio by taking a 4 out of, or an 8 out of both terms, and you would have 3 over 5. So those would be the two answers for that. Moving back to the top here, we have in class we reviewed this question quite a bit. So in class we had a question where, again, we're focusing on angle A. I gave you this ratio in review, and you had to find the missing third side. And so you would, well, actually this triangle up here has nothing to do with number 14, so let's work on number 13, my bad. So we have two sides given, we have to find the third side by Pythagorean theorem. So we have 4 squared, because these are both the shorter sides, plus 12 squared equals the hypotenuse squared. So this is 16, this is 144. So the hypotenuse here is going to equal 160. And so the hypotenuse will equal the square root of 160, which can simplify to be 4 root 10. So I'll write 4 root 10 here. And then we'll just find our sine and tangent. So the sine ratio of angle B is going to be the opposite over, because this is angle B, opposite over hypotenuse. So we'll write here sine of B equals 4 over 4 root, this is a 10. I should have wrote that correctly there. So then this simplifies, so the sine of B is equal 1 over root 10, which is really root 10 over 10. So that's what the sine of beta is, or sine of B. And then the tangent is going to be easier, because the opposite is 4 and the hypotenuse is 12, so you'll have 4 over 12, and you should reduce that to 1 over 3. So I'm going to pause it and clean up this screen, and then we'll go to the last problem. The next problem is where they tell us that the sine ratio of angle A is 6 over 11. So that means the opposite side is 6, the hypotenuse is 11. So you're looking for what the adjacent side would be. So you would have 11 squared equals 6 squared plus the adjacent side squared. So that is going to equal 121 for 11 squared minus a 36 for 6 squared. And that's going to be 85. So x will equal root of 85. So then you just put root of 85 here, and when it's time to find the secant deals with the adjacent side and the hypotenuse, but it would be the hypotenuse over the adjacent and you would have to rationalize this ratio to get 11 root 85 over 85. That would be that secant ratio. The last problem, they tell us the cosecant is 1 over 9, so find the sine. And remember, the sine and the cosecant are related by a reciprocal relationship, so sine of b would equal 9 over 1. And that is the entire quiz review. So take a moment, look through this whole quiz, and I hope this helps you in your review process.